I want y'all to read this. I want you to think about it. Write down what you think your answer is, and then we'll see how you did. Don't worry about justifying right now. We'll write all that down. Right now, I just want you to think, what are the x coordinates for the points of inflection of f? Okay, so a -2 is an option. So you're saying just -2?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
That's it.
Anybody got something different?
Yeah. How you do that? I have 0 and 2.
Okay, we got 0 and 2.
I
Also 0 and 2. So we have a couple people who say just -2, a couple people who say just 0 and 2. Luke says just 0?
Just 0.
Just 0. Yeah, the answer is both 0 and 2.
I didn't know.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about this. This is tricky. Okay, look, what are you looking at the graph of? F prime. What are you asked about point of inflection for the graph of F? Right? Now, if we were looking at the graph of F double prime, just -2 would be the correct answer. But we're not given the graph of F double prime. So remember this little chart right here. Okay.
What is a point of inflection?
Point of inflection, yeah. So that's a key question. Point of inflection is where the graph of F changes concavity, correct? Do you agree? So what I just circled was concave up, concave down.
Okay,
so what I'm looking for is when F changes concavity. What am I given? What information am I given? F prime. So what am I looking for on the graph of F prime to tell me where F changes concavity, where F prime changes from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing? So those of you who said the 0 and 2 are correct. Y at x equals 0 because F prime changes from decreasing to increasing. Yx equals 2 because F prime changes from increasing to decreasing. Very good. Now, let's talk about how to justify this. You cannot justify this by saying the second derivative changes sign. That is correct, right? Like that's correct, like understanding, but am I given F double prime? No. When you justify your answer, you must justify your answer in terms of what you are given. So here's how you correctly justify your answer. So those of you who got 0 and 2, great, but I also want to make sure we know how to justify your answer. Since at 0, you go from decreasing to increasing, and at 2, you go from increasing to decreasing, you have to make 2 separate statements, okay? So, Arjun, what you got? What's your question?
I noticed something. Instead of like, so can we? Because I remember you said that like a point of inflection on like a relative maximum can become a point of inflection on like a different graph.
Right.
So you could say that like, so the relative maxima and minima on this is -3 to -2 and or 0 and -2. But then because the it says to give you the points of inflection on an open interval -3 or 4, you just take out those two.
Correct.
So you only get 0.
Yes.
-2.
Yes.
But
correct.
Can I just justify that by saying?
So I'm glad Arjun's bringing that up because so another thing that you can look at, if you're given the graph of F prime and you're asked to find points of inflection. So I mentioned looking at maxes and mins. So that's what he was looking at. So you can see you have a minimum there at 0, right? You have a relative maximum there at 2. That's good to find them, but in the justification, you have to specify changing from increasing, decreasing, changing from decreasing to increasing. You cannot use the justification F prime has a relative max or relative min. Because, and he was talking about the endpoints, and notice that we're only looking at the inside of that interval, so we're not interested in those endpoints. So the correct way to justify. Now, remember, saying F, it's a tiny little thing, but is that important?
Yeah.
Yes. Do not say it. Do not say the graph, the slope, whatever, the function. Say F has a point of inflection because the graph, the slope, no, F prime. Please, please hear me that. You can lose an entire point for just replacing either of those things I circled with it, or the slope, or the graph. Y'all get that? I don't want you to lose a whole point for one letter. Okay? Now, that's one statement. Now I've got to make the other statement. F has a point of inflection at x equals 2 because that's a different reason, because it's changing from increasing to decreasing at x equals 2. Now, if both of those points were changing from decreasing to increasing, sure. You know what I'm saying? If they're both like relative mins or both relative maxes, you could lump them into one statement. And you could say f has a point of inflection at 0, 2 because, does that make sense? If they were doing the same thing. Y'all good with that? Okay, yes.
Let's say the graph like continued past 4, -2. Like let's say it had like another line out from under it. Like,
Okay, sure.
with a positive slope.
Right?
So would you include
So like this?
yeah.
Yeah?
So would x equals 4 also be, and then okay.
Yep, because it's changing from decreasing to increasing.
We just don't include it here.
I would- Right, because
It's an endpoint.
it's an endpoint. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, do y'all see how that chart is kind of can be helpful? Okay. All right, let's try number 4. Try this one on your own. Similar to number 2. Don't say the answer, but have we all had a chance to answer? You may need more time. We good. We're good. Okay, what do we think?
B.
B. Everybody good with B? Anybody need to see why it's B, or are we all good? Okay, so you can see A has the same shape, right? So if you kind of see the shape, but it didn't have those max and mins occur at the right place. So B is the correct answer. Okay?